Hello, everyone. Welcome to Day 2 coverage of the ISU Junior Grand Prix Series. I'm your host, Ted Barton, in beautiful Courchevel, France, along with Mark Hanratty. Mark, how was your first day?
An absolute pleasure to be here, and now looking forward to the dance event, new dance, new season, and lots of Argentine tango to look forward to.
11 teams from 7 countries, rhythm dance coming up right now. Welcome, everyone, to Courchevel, France, with a beautiful view of the facility, the arena here, hosting the Junior Grand Prix 2022. I'm your host, Ted Barton, along with Mark Hanratty. What a beautiful location. We're having such a wonderful time. And Mark, your first day yesterday. Give us a review.
It's just been wonderful to see so many skaters from so many different skating nations, and Japan leads the way in the men's and women's, but now we look forward to the dance event and open field. Can't pick it at the moment, Ted.
Live inside the arena, as we've often talked about, because it's so brilliant. You're looking at the cleanest sheet of ice on the planet, that's for sure. With the rhythm dance coming up, again, 11 teams, that's not a lot of teams. This is the first event that I've seen with so few dance teams. Of course, we're expecting many more throughout the next 6 weeks.
Yes, only 11 teams competing here, but I'm sure dance teams and coaches around the world, eyes on this event, eager to see how the technical panel and the judges will review the elements offered, and everybody's still trying to assess the new criteria this season, as we see scenes from some of the skaters and the fans watching here live in the venue.
And I'm going to be the voice of the viewers out there, asking you, the dance experts, some questions. So I saw you studying
the pressure.
Very close, absolutely. There's a look at the judges for this event, and you'll see the technical panel coming up, pardon me, right there. And yeah, because dance is so interesting, so complicated, it really is, but simplistic in the way, from a viewer's perspective, you love it. You know, you love the music, you love the presentation, the interpretation, all of that, as we look at the start order for Group 1. But there's a lot of details. So let's first of all talk about the rhythm this year.
So the rhythm dance for the junior ice dance teams, 2 minutes and 50 seconds plus or minus 10 seconds. And it's to be a tango rhythm plus at least one of the following styles. So they have to choose from paso doble, fandango.
Fandango.
Fandango, believe it or not. Bolero, jota, Spanish waltz, flamenco, or milonga. So the teams, their coaches, their choreographers have to pick another rhythm to go alongside the tango.
Okay, that's going to be interesting. Also, I want to talk a little bit about the key points. We talked about a lot about that over the last few years, and we've shown some of it. But this year's a bit different, because the key points last season were at different times for the man and for the woman. But this year, it is at the same time.
Absolutely. So the technical panels will be scrutinizing the key points. And the first and second key points of the first section of the Argentine tango are between steps 7 and 10. Now that might sound a bit convoluted and a bit confusing, but the technical panel is so well trained and well versed in exactly what it is that they need to look at, and they'll be scrutinizing the depth and clarity of the edges and the steps for these teams, which will all be performing the same mandatory steps in the Argentine tango.
And we will be trying to point out steps 7 and 10, if we can count that high, during the performance. So that'll be, you know, good for the fans to see, and we'll try to point those key points out to you, of course. Okay, anything else? Of course, we're going to see the lift, and we're going to see the twizzle. I want to ask about the twizzles again. We've often talked about that is the most difficult dance element. I don't know if it really is. I mean, this is, you get your input on this, but it seems to be the riskiest one.
I think it's the most visibly obvious when mistakes are made, that's for sure. And I think probably the dance teams themselves would argue that it's the step sequence which is hardest to get level on. The likelihood of seeing level 4 twizzles, the highest level obviously being level 4, is more likely in the twizzles than in the step sequences, but the twizzles so often tend to be that which we can point out the most visible mistake, so potentially harder to get a good grade of execution on. I think the reason the twizzles are everybody's bugbear, because naturally as skaters we all like to rotate in one direction more than the other, and so in the same ways I would write with my right hand and couldn't write with my left hand, I much prefer to rotate to the left, which is most common for the majority of skaters. To rotate to the right for me feels hideous and horrible, as it will be for many of these skaters, but hopefully they're so well rehearsed, well trained, well prepped that they managed to disguise however horrible it might feel.
Okay, now let's leave the technical side of this, because in juniors, really the focus is on technical. We don't see quite the, no, not quite. We don't see the performance at juniors that we do at a senior level, because they're really focused on the technical elements. Talk a little bit about that and how difficult it is. You're an ice dancer. How difficult it is to do two things at one time, or many things at one time. Focus on the technical elements to get the key points, to get the lifts, and get all the levels, plus entertain and perform.
Absolutely, and with the ice dancers, of course, the presentation, the composition, it is so vital. But still, these athletes, particularly the ones that we're getting to enjoy watching in the Junior Grand Prix, still have so much time needed to be devoted to the fundamental skating skill. And as a generalization, teenagers, which we'll be enjoying watching, aren't perhaps as extroverted and expressive and comfortable to perform as they are when we get to look at the senior ranks.
Well, 11 teams. There's the first 8 teams on the ice. They're split up into 3 groups. We'll have an ice resurfacing after group number 2. Interesting information, and we're about to start the rhythm dance. I'm going to ask a lot of questions because I have to cover this. So, I mean, listen, I've covered a lot of dance. I try to keep it pretty simplistic to the basics of what an audience can see, but that's just surface, and there's a lot of detail underneath there.
Absolutely, and I think it'll be interesting to see how this season unfolds, and it'll be interesting to see how some of those technical fine details, maybe some of the levels, will impact upon the result here. I think, again, as a generalization, so often your initial impression on watching a dance team gives you a fairly good gauge as to how things will pan out. If the team has lots of ice coverage speed and they look confident, the likelihood is that this team is going to be successful couple. Nevertheless, the technical elements score and the key points given and the elements called are hugely valuable to the skaters.
Well, here we go. Group 1. And let's get ourselves organized. We're going to be able to tell you the levels of these elements and the reviews, the number of reviews that the panel does. Generally speaking, my experience has been the technical panel take a little bit longer in ice dance. You're looking at your skaters, and there's lots of detail. Here we go.
So the junior world champions this year are a brother and sister team from America. This, another brother-sister team from the States in their first junior Grand Prix together.
Well, 15 and 18, and they'll be skating a tango and a flamenco.
Strong, solid start to this rhythm dance here in Courchevel from the brother-sister team. Not only is it a family affair between them, but their father indeed is their coach. And how he manages to watch, I don't know. I don't know how he can cope with the pressure.
Well, also the joy.
Oh,
there must be an element of joy. It's certainly pride when you watch that performance. Good, strong, basic skating skills. I think well executed. The technical elements, we're going to walk through some of those. What were your thoughts? Yeah,
they obviously look like a very well-trained, well-rehearsed team. They won 3rd place at the US Juniors in 2022. They've obviously got some great pedigree coming into this event. Fascinating stories about them. I read that Ethan is an aerospace engineering major.
Oh, wow.
And in high school, he developed an app to diagnose a thyroid eye disease. Like, how smart are these skaters? And they managed to do all that and still...
And we're talking about skaters.
Yeah, amazing.
Let's take a look inside the program, Mark. Here's the key point.
Yeah, the judges will be looking at the correct edges and the correct change of edge. The women's key point 1 and the man's key point 2. Here are the twizzles. The skaters have to hit various different features. And in this, the rhythm dance, they're only allowed up to 1 step between the first and the second twizzle. Here, getting to look at the chalked on. Again, technical panel scrutinizing the depth of the edges. And there, you could hear perhaps on the audio the vocal from Ethan. And they said that even their competitors were enjoying that at some of their summer domestic events and joining in even with the noise making that Ethan offered mid-performance. Said that this team has been skating since they could walk, so comfortable on the ice for sure.
Well, you can see some really good basic skating skills. They don't have to think about it, just naturally in them. Let's take a look at the scores for the rhythm dance. First team out, 53.21. Half nod of approval from Dad and Coach. It's hard to know exactly until the other team has skated where that will stand.
Another team in their first Junior Grand Prix year, representing Canada, with Olympic ice dance legend Scott Moore as their coach.
Skating the Spanish waltz and tango, the Swan Crash.
strong start to their Junior Grand Prix campaign from the Canadian Advanced Novice Champions, Veillon and Brandys. They, from the Ice Academy of Montreal's Ontario campus.
Of course, is it coached by Scott Moore, but Alma Moyer also works with them, and family member of Scott, a great coach in Canada, both in ice dance, synchronized skating, and singles as well. So they're all families involved in all the disciplines.
It's a family affair. It needs a village, doesn't it?
It does. Here's some of the opening moves of the dance, and a little pick up into the twizzles. Good speed. Yeah,
as with the American team choosing to do the same leg feature. And here, arms above the head, that a feature.
Perhaps she stopped on that last turn there.
So the third and fourth key point for the Argentine tango. Steps 13 to 15. The technical panel will be looking at that section to award the key points. And the key points worth between half a point and a point. Here, entry into a rotational lift, another difficult entry. And this year, unlike in previous years, the couples are not allowed to use the same feature for the lifted partner in the rhythm dance and in the free dance. So technical panels having to work really hard this year to make sure that they've got their eyes scrutinizing lifts in both the RD and the free dance.
Well, really a nice clean skate for them. First time out on the Junior Grand Prix, gaining new experiences, and they look pretty excited to be here for sure. And I thought that was a really strong performance for them first time out.
And it's so special to see the skaters looking happy and satisfied with their performance in the kiss and cry. So much of their life has gone towards preparing for this.
One, and that will put them currently into second place. And they look, okay, that score is not too bad. First time out here, that's good. It's a long build to top teams. It doesn't happen overnight. You need all sorts of different experiences. The first one is the first one.
Next to skate from Ireland, Hegarty and Hegarty.
An absolutely fascinating tale. These two skaters get to skate barely 4 weeks in the year. Ireland's first ice dance team.
Flamenco and tango.
Well, knowing how little this couple have been able to skate prepare, it's utterly amazing what they have done. Truly unable to skate or train much more than a few weeks in the year. And then to come out here and perform at altitude, you can see now the impact that that's had on Laura, who really committed the whole time. I hope they're okay now. I'm sure they'll understandably be utterly exhausted.
And this is part of the stories of the juniors that I love the most. I know that everybody wants to see brilliant skating, but this is part of the pathway. What we want to see is the love of skating. And that's what they've shown by coming here, having the courage to skate and compete when they don't have the time of everyone else.
And absolutely knowing that they've just gone up against the Canadian Advanced Novice Champions, the US Intermediate Novice Champions in the past. They're knowing that they're up against teams who have trained incredible amounts on the ice, and here they still went for all the features in their twizzles. Didn't get level 4 twizzles, but they attempted everything.
They got through the twizzles.
Absolutely. And you could see at this point, this is the first section of the Argentine tango, and you could see there in Laura's face, exhaustion starting to set in, understandably.
And the edges, a little straight. They have to work a little bit more on the depth of edge and the basic skating skills.
And the rotational lift. The lift has to be in the air for 3 seconds to be a callable lift, and unfortunately that didn't happen. But knowing their story, as we see them in the kiss and cry with Clara Peters, just so impressive. And I actually dare say, more courage and bravery from them coming here than any other team who's got so much more experience.
I have great respect for the effort. First of all, the love of the sport to do it, even with as few hours as they get to train, and the fact to travel to come here to experience this, knowing that they're going to come really at the bottom of the event, but to experience it and to have the courage to go out on the ice. You just try it. People who don't skate, you try that.
Absolutely.
Right? Not easy.
Indeed. Every dancer in this event, if they knew how little these two trained, would be raising their hands in the air, standing ovation.
Absolutely. It's hard enough when you really have had a lot of time to train. It's hard enough.
It's hard enough when you do it for hours a day.
Yeah, exactly. And the juniors is open. It's open to everyone. That's what it is. That's why it's special. That's why we have such different levels. Let's take a look at the rhythm dance scores. For Laura and Kevin, 20.36. And of course, that will put them into third place for the moment.
Which places in Armenia, third place.
And you could see the smile on Kevin's face. Laura was maybe a little bit less, funny, but kind of a mixed feelings for them coming off that ice. Okay, geez, I wish we would have, oh my gosh, but that was kind of cool too.
Yeah, amazing life experience for all these athletes, and that the same for these to come. This group that we're about to watch, more experienced. Some of them already have competed on the Junior Grand Prix circuit, but nevertheless, getting to come across here to beautiful Courchevel.
And you're going to see significantly better skating skills, of course, here. Now, that takes, the challenge in our sport is that, you learn to skate first, the basics. So then you pick up, hey, I love figure skating, okay? Let me try to jump and spin. But you forget about the basic skating skills. The most important skill you will ever learn is good basics. Forget about the jumps, forget about spins, lifts, and all that kind of stuff. You have to learn to skate deep edges and flow and have it absolutely second nature to yourself in order to do an excellent job at the technical difficulties.
Absolutely, and indeed, the more investment made on the fundamental basic skating skills, the more longevity in the competitive world you're likely to have.
Safer you're going to be as well. As far as safety goes, you're going to have probably less injuries having the good basic skating skills. You'll see people skate and you'll say, oh, they're really good, but they may not have the type of skating skill that the best have.
And it's really interesting for us, the luxury of being here live in this location, to be able to get a true grasp and comprehension for the amount of flow and glide. You can see particularly obvious in ice dance when we compare this Argentine tango, which you're seeing now. It's really visible as to which teams have the most flow, glide, and ice coverage. Skating skills so dependent upon that flow and that glide.
Even though your eyes don't have a number of kilometers per hour, you can see it and sense it when you're live. You can't really pick up the speed and the flow. It's harder to do it on video.
Absolutely, and I think that's something that the the very well-trained judges who are here as ISU Championship judges, who will really have a comprehension and feel for assessing the skating skills of a team. We have some more comments online. Feel free to connect with the International Skating Union on the social media channels and on YouTube using the hashtag JGPFigure. And wonderful to hear not just some questions from the skating fans around the world, but also some of the lovely comments that we've seen. We asked yesterday, what was your favorite thing about the Junior Grand Prix series? And Michael Shea yesterday from the United States of America, he proved to be very popular, Ted, following his performance in the short program. It really was special.
Yeah, he was. There was something sparkling, if you will, like fresh.
Absolutely, and that's what we're seeing at this Junior Grand Prix: the fresh, the excitement, the joie de vivre from the.
Yeah, you may not always see the elements perfectly, but you can sense, oh, that skater's got something special, right?
Other comments coming out about favorite things about the Junior Grand Prix series, the fact that it's being live streamed on YouTube, and that's something that you were so integrally involved in, Ted, a few years ago now.
Well, just feeling that in order for this to expand around the world, countries that didn't have an ice rink needed to see the sport, fall in love with the sport, build for the sport, and we've seen that start to happen. I don't know to what degree this has contributed, but it didn't hurt. That's
oh
for
my
sure.
goodness, I am sure that it has been so helpful to so many skating nations, and I know from having watched the Junior Grand Prix YouTube myself, I know that skaters around the world are tuning in to check out what's happening and to get a feel for how the judging panels and the technical panels are assessing what's fashionable almost, especially in ice dance. You know, how is this new rhythm being received and being welcomed and being treated by the coaches, the choreographers, and the judges?
Well, you talked a lot about, with the young skaters, I believe, about looking at a lot of video.
Yeah.
No, I think it was coaching. It was young no, it was Keegan and the young coaching. When he was talking about advising young coaches to study a lot of video. You've got it all on YouTube. Look at it, study it, you know, learn from it. Take it to the rink, see what works. But if you don't spend the time to study what's already out there, then you're not guessing, but it's not as accurate. You need to look at this. And that's one of the other reasons why I think the Junior Grand Prix has been helpful.
Absolutely, and I think what's wonderful about this is that it's relatively free. Once you get your internet sorted, then most of these athletes, I'm pretty confident, have a smart device with which to access YouTube, and they have this at their fingertips then. It doesn't require the expensive lessons, it's education on tap.
These skaters walk off the ice, they go to their phone, and they watch the event again, and they listen to your commentary and the pointers and all of that. And so that's, you know, just a great asset, I think, to their development. And so obviously we're very happy that it's contributed to skating around the world, and we look forward to much more to come.
Skaters, your warm-up has ended. Would you please leave the ice? Thank you.
So 2 sections of the Argentine tango, a dance lift, a step sequence, and sequential twizzles for all of the dance teams as we look ahead to the next couple. Take it to that.
From Great Britain, another one.
Sur la glace, représentant la Grande-Bretagne.
Next to skate from Great Britain, Bushell and Lapsky.
In their second season on the Junior Grand Prix circuit, from Great Britain, Sophia Bushell and Alex Lapsky.
17, 19 years old. They'll skate the rhythm dance to a tango and flamenco.
Finishing with a strong curve lift at the end of the program for Sophia Bushell and Alex Lapsky. And just looking at the live chat on YouTube, fans loving Sophia's costume, and rightly so.
Well, you're good watching the performance and the
My third eye
chat,
focusing on.
Oh, way better than me. But certainly you can see some pretty good, strong skating skills with this team. They had a challenge, of course, in the Twizzle, and you'll see a little shakiness in the step sequence as well, but also some good edges. Certainly a good, well-matched team, obviously.
Yeah. And I thought really good facial interpretation, which we can see here in the opening section. Intense connection between the team, and that will be something that is pertinent and integral in the tango. And I thought Sophia in particular kept her facial interpretation well. Alex too throughout. This team choosing to start with the second section of the Argentine tango first, which is totally allowed. Those that know the Argentine tango well know that it'll start the first section, which they chose to do later in their program, as we look towards the third and fourth key point here. And this was unfortunate for the team. And I think, yeah, break in the after 1.5 rotations for Sophia, unfortunately. So at best it would be level 1. Shame there. And then Alex just putting the foot down on that, the bracket. And this couple, yeah, and this couple came to the venue a little later than some of the others. So maybe reacting to the altitude that some of the teams have suffered with. But this great difficult entry and change of pose through the curve lift. A difficult choice for their features in that curve lift.
With such a fine line, you want to attack a program, but you may not have the skill. And I saw them attack that start of the step sequence. They did, but then they lost a little bit of balance. So appreciate the attack, but the mind's going, whoa, let's just get organized.
And maybe
here.
as the season progresses, more run-throughs.
They will. They'll have it. Not a problem. Rhythm dance scores for Sophia and Alex, 38.46, and that will move them currently to third place.
Sophia and Alex earned in the rhythm dance a total of 38.46, which places them currently in third place.
Sur la glace, représentant les États-Unis d'Amérique.
Next to see from the United States of America.
The second team from America, Vanessa Pham and Jonathan Rogers, taught by former Israeli dance champion Roman Zaretsky.
First Junior Grand Prix season, 18 and 19 years old, skating a tango and flamenco.
And an emphatic finish.
I like that. Attention to the notes, attention to the detail of the phrase. Nicely done.
I was really aware through the step sequence how much attention there was to the choreography. I wasn't conscious that it was an exercise whereby they were attempting to get higher level piece of choreography throughout, and that really transcending the technical element score. Jonathan will be frustrated because of the mistake within the twizzles, but on the whole, really impressive skating from the team, and mistakes today, but potential evident.
And we talked about that, rotating the twizzle on the reverse direction, what's natural to you, and that is the problem. That's the challenge, and I think that's what happened here with Jonathan. We'll see that in just a moment.
I feel his pain.
Yeah, it's easy to say, wow, a great set of twizzles, but really difficult when that's on the opposite direction. Let's take a look.
Look at that interpretation from the start from both. Like I said, transcending just the skating skills.
It's so important to set the mood.
And you can see from very early on, this, oh wow, a great effort to try and get that key point on the second section of the Argentine tango. The lady has a swing counter twizzle, the man of Choctaw, as they step into the twizzles.
First set, pretty good. Let's take a look what happens here.
One rotation, two rotation, just about gets third rotation, and maybe for Jonathan, he was disguised well by Vanessa, so perhaps the judge's grade of execution will be not as bad as it otherwise could have been, but this was the highlight for me. The rotational lift, change of pose within it, loads of ice coverage there. Sketching the difficult exit. And the whole really strong team with abundant potential moving forward to the future. And America's had such success in ice dance recently. Havel Donahue, Chalk and Bates, both on the world podium in Montpellier for the seniors. And these guys, the seniors of the future, with Roman Zaretsky, their coach, in the kiss and cry.
Really good role models in front of them to be inspired and to learn from.
And that's what we've talked about, isn't it? Having that exposure to a better quality of skating, and also to allow the athletes to believe in the potential to achieve that quality. Seeing Hubble and Donahue and Chalk and Bates definitely helps that.
You take your inspiration and motivation from others quite often, and they have that in spades there in the United States. 55.76, good score for Vanessa and Jonathan, and that moves them currently into first place. Some high fives in the kiss and cry. And there it is, Americans' top two positions so far in this event.
Sur la glace, représentant la France.
Next defeat from France, Armenia, Gianesini, Klaperman.
And the first of three French ice dance teams, Henri and Samuel, in their first Junior Grand Prix.
And they will skate a tango and a paso doble.
Oh, what a terrible shame. Heart really goes out to Humbert and Samuel. I actually, as soon as they started, Ted, I thought, oh, definite. I could tell the coaching influence that they had, good quality skating skill from the first stroke, and just one of those really tough skating experiences that I desperately hope the team doesn't think is a reflection of the quality that they obviously have. Just
the tango part of the dance was very strong,
Absolutely.
really well done, and you thought, wow, this is a really good team. But then they started to unravel on the technical elements outside tango and paso.
Oh, it heart breaks for them because, this is such an important thing for these young athletes. They've been working towards this for so long. You can see just her hair, you can see the effort to look like she's in Argentina at the tango. There's so much effort that goes into this. This was great. And you could see they work with Olivier Schoenfelder, 2008 world champion, Muriel Zazui, and I could just see that influence, the closeness.
Yeah. Really nice and close, beautiful extensions, good deep edges. So you're saying,
they're really close, and that's something that, because pattern dances aren't utilized as much now with an ice dance, it's not something that you see quite as much. And I was just aware they were so close in hold. It was impressive, and at this point, all was good. They chose to rotate in the clockwise direction first in their twizzle sequence. There's no specification as to which direction you start in. But he had the slight wobble before they started. To be honest, they actually, level-wise, I think they'll be all right on the twizzle. Just the grade of execution because of the mistakes before and after.
3 and 4 at the moment.
But here, just looked uncomfortable and tight, and it's understandable that having had mistakes that they would then struggle. Here was their difficult entry into the rotational lift.
Everything out of sync a little bit, and just wobbly, off balance, and disappointed throughout the program, and not easy to keep going.
But the team definitely has quality. Good, so appreciative of the smile there. Glad to see this connection between them, and I hope that the team behind them works hard at helping them recover.
This team does have quality. They had a very bad skate today, but they have quality. We'll see that later on in the Junior Grand Prix. Rhythm dance scores for Amber and Samuel, 40.01. That will put them into 4th place for the moment. And there's a look at your top 5 on the leaderboard.
Sur la glace, représentant la Corée du Sud.
Next to skate from Korea, Lim and Quan.
Possibly the highest ranked team coming into this event, having placed 6th at the Junior World Championships. Lim and Quan from Korea.
Won the bronze here last season, and they'll skate to a Malanga.
Real classic tango finish position from Hannah and Ye.
Well, clearly a more aggressive and confident and solid team. It seemed to match Hannah a little bit better. She certainly performed to that level, and I saw with Ye, just it was still great. It was still really good. Not at the level of Hannah, but this is early in the season, and it's demanding. They've got a lot of great choreography in there. It's
Absolutely,
demanding.
and you know the quality that you would expect from the Ice Academy of Montreal, where they train the epicenter for so many brilliant ice dance teams. But like you say, again, as a generalization, the women in the dance partnership tend to be a little bit more comfortable with the interpretation than the men, and Hannah was really committed.
She was great. Yeah, absolutely. But the top teams equalize out, and this will happen in time with this team. I always love this team. They did a great job last year.
And also, gosh, when you think about this team last year,
Yeah.
we're arguably where they did the Gangnam style rhythm dance, perhaps a little more comfortable and suited to Ye, but the ability for them to interpret different styles. The judges aren't judging based upon their ability to interpret different styles, but if you look back at the rhythm dance from last year, you'll be very impressed by their diversity.
This team has so much potential and something special about them, and it's sometimes difficult to describe, but we're seeing it on the ice in juniors, and we'll watch this develop up into seniors.
Such a strong neckline from Hannah, so clearly open in the posture and extension to the absolute max. Seeing this the latter part of their step sequence, that the outside closed mohawk, and this the Argentine tango requirement for all of the teams. And you'll see variation in hold as well. Couples allowed to play with the holds within that dance, not having to stick to what was previously prescribed, as we see the rotational lift leading into that very classic tango finish. First Korean team to win a medal in ice dance at the Junior Grand Prix, and I don't think it'll be their last.
A lot of fun watching this team, and will be exciting over the next few years. 62.71 for Hannah and Ye, and of course that clearly moves them into first place for the moment. There's a look at your top 5 teams so far. Well, we're going to have a short break as we do. We've got, again, as we did yesterday, some video examples and some promotions. Take us through it, Mark.
Yeah, we're really treated to some more videos from the International Skating Union, and again, we'll reference back to the World Ice Skating Day, the new initiative from the International Skating Union set for the 4th of December. And there's a beautiful video to show you all, followed up by one of the Up Again stories, and this one, an incredibly emotive tale from the wondrous Canadian ice dancer Piper Gillis.
And just a little bit more on that. All athletes go through the highs and the lows on the ice, but sometimes that happens also off the ice. As you're trying to pursue excellence, you'll see that in this piece. It's beautifully done.
It really is. I urge you all to stay tuned and watch that. And then we'll finish up with one of the International Skating Union's Elements Explained videos. And we'll go to Oberstdorf to see some information on the spread eagle. And we often see that utilized, particularly in the ice dance category, on some of the curve lifts and straight line lifts. So lots to stay tuned and watch and enjoy.
Zambonis are on the ice. We're going to take a short break. Enjoy the videos. We'll be back.
My name is Piper Gillis, and this is my Up Again message to my younger self. Dear Piper, your lowest moment would be March of 2017 at the hospital after you tricked your mom to go to the hospital and get checked out. She was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer and was told that she could live from anywhere from 5 days to 15 months. One of the worst days of my life. You know, my mom was my biggest fan. She was the ultimate skating fan. Our goal as a whole family was for someone to make the Olympic Games. I had to be courageous. I had to be vulnerable. I had to own my emotions each day. If I was sad, I had to take my energy into the rink. But I still had to skate. A competition didn't go so well in Russia. We happened to turn on the TV and my program was on, and I turned and asked her a question, and it was just a simple question like, "Mom, did you like it?" And she turned to me and said, "No." And at that time, she lost her words, so her emotions really were shown in her eyes, and for her to actually speak and tell me no, we knew something was not right. We took her advice and we changed the program. We took a leap of faith, created something completely new, went to the Olympic Games and skated completely lights out, like the best we could have ever done. We always have to find something to encourage us, and she encouraged me. She did pass away, and I miss her every day. Losing her has taught me that every day is valuable. Every time I take the ice, it's a blessing. I skate today in her honor.
Welcome to the ISU Center of Excellence here in Oberstdorf, Germany. Today we're going to look at a great element that really fills the ice. It's called the spread eagle. The spread eagle is a skating move where the skater glides across the ice with both feet either on the outside or inside edge. The toes are pointed out, away from each other, and the heels pointed in towards each other. As an exercise to train the spread eagle, the skater can go ahead and place themselves at the barrier, holding on with their hands, opening their hips and placing their feet parallel, feeling equal pressure between the left and the right foot. Moving on, the skater can perform the same exercise and feel the gliding motion as they move themselves across the ice. Now you're ready to do it without any support. The spread eagle is a great element, so if you're happy with how you perform it, don't be afraid to use it, for example, in a jump, a transition, or the step or choreographic sequence. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in and follow the ISU on their various social media platforms for more useful tips on various elements. Bis später from Oberstdorf.
Sur la glace, pour 5 minutes d'échauffement,
The forward skaters will now take the ice for a quick warm-up.
représentant la France,
From France, sitting down Phradji and Fourneaux.
représentant la France,
From France, Koch and Melnyk.
représentant le Canada,
From Canada, Yerevan and Brandys.
Welcome back, everyone, to Courchevel, France, Group 3, the final group in the rhythm dance on the ice for their warm-up. I'm your host, Ted Bard, along with Mark Henry. We have some questions. Mark?
Yes, we do indeed. Again, those using the hashtag JGPFigure on the International Skating Union's social media and YouTube channels coming through with some questions for us. And one of them from Anson24x7. What's the main objective behind celebrating World Ice Skating Day?
Well, really, from what I understand, this sport is spectacular. It is. I'm not talking about figure skating. I'm talking about anytime you put the blades on your ice and you go across that ice surface and you have this wind in your face and the sensation of freedom and how skaters actually articulate why do you love the sport. It's freedom, it's flight, it's just exhilarating. So, for those who have not experienced that exhilaration, okay, maybe they're going to hold on to the boards a little bit more. But the point is, it is quite remarkable feeling and sensation. And so it's a celebration about all of that. And whether you are 3 years old, first time, and we've seen adult skaters 75 and 80 years old out on the ice, just enjoying that freedom and ice dancing together, perhaps, or you're a synchro team or a speed skater, we want everybody to celebrate and recognize and promote the sport of skating, whatever the discipline, worldwide.
Absolutely. And I think you hear us talking on skaters that are probably devoting the majority of their lives to it, but so much more to the sport than just the competitive mainstream. And certainly we're not devoting our entire lives to the creation of great skating at the moment, but we still love the sport, and I think that's something that World Ice Skating Day will encourage for all. That'll be on the 4th of December, and we hope everybody can get involved in celebrating this beautiful sport. We also have, oh my goodness, this is an interesting one, from the Purple Jaw. What's the one thing you're dreading might happen while commentating? What are you going to say? What can you say, Ted? What can you say to that?
Well, to be honest with you, and I'm being really, really honest with you, is to make sure the mics are turned off when we're not on the air, because we have all sorts of things going on in the room here that we have to deal with and whatnot, and so that's one of the things that's very important, and so that. But
one of mine is, I think, making sure that I don't let my excitement for the skating get caught. Because sometimes...
well, how are you doing that? You've been doing that ever since yesterday, for God's sake.
I managed to turn the mic off when I gasp in horror or cheer in delight for these athletes.
Yeah, actually, when we have seen falls, you do jump a little bit.
I know, I want the best for them. It really upsets me when they fall.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, but that's getting into the program and intensity and viewing it.
Yeah, and that's something that's obviously shared by so many of the viewers. And there's a poll yesterday, a prompt from... on the social media channels, what's your favorite thing about the Junior Grand Prix series? And it's been delightful to see some of the comments that you've been sending us in. One of them from Alexa on ice, seeing the world's best come together through our shared love of skating, leaving their hearts on the ice.
That's beautiful.
Another from KD Bex. It's really exciting to see new faces take the lead and show us how they face new challenges. Can't wait to see more.
Yeah, it's interesting, the new challenges. We saw the team from Ireland and talk about challenge and fear in coming to an international competition, having, what did you say, 7?
I think they said that they'd only had maybe 4 weeks of preparation, which is insane.
So that's just a huge challenge, and just seeing them grasp that challenge and take it, I mean, that's wonderful. That can only be done on Junior Grand Prix, really, in many ways.
True. And then from Annabelle Mihai, it doesn't matter what skills you have, come and show us what you've got, and we'll cheer everyone on.
Okay, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Because that's what I believe in. It doesn't matter what skills you have. This product of the ISU, the Junior Grand Prix, welcomes everybody from around the world who competes in figure skating, whatever their skill level is. And so that's the thrill of it. When you go to it, I love the seniors as well, but all the skill level is pretty high at that level, right? And it's nice and it's wonderful. There's no question of that. But it's not easy to do what some of these kids do on very few hours of training and maybe not a great facility or whatever the case may be. So wonderful. By who sent that?
Annabelle.
Annabelle.
Hi.
Thank you so much for that. That means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly that seems to be the overriding impression that I'm getting is celebrating skating here in Courchevel on the first stop of 7 on the Junior Grand Prix Series 2022.
And here we go. Final group in the rhythm dance. And by that clapping, I think we have a French team coming up. What do you think?
You got it. This couple, 5th place here last year. The second of the 3 French teams.
Next to skate from France,
Selena Fradji, Jean Fourneaux.
9th at the Junior World Championships last season. Skating the Gringo and Tango.
Strong performance for Selena and Jean from France, taught by Karine Haribert.
Really nice basic skills and strengths and good deep edges, soft knees, and some attention to the music as well, some detail there.
Interesting choice, and as I said, the couples have to choose tango and a different rhythm to go alongside that, and it's interesting to see what the couples have chosen for their music choice and their other rhythms. And a different and rather unique music choice here. I loved the twizzles, choosing to do both the second and the third twizzle in the clockwise direction.
Little spread eagle there in between, just beautifully done. Nice and close and tight and fast.
And the judges looking for various different bullet points for the GOEs as we look now to the Argentine first section of the Argentine tango. And that the man's counter finishing that key point for he. And if you stayed with us through the resurface, you got to see something about spread eagles. There's Jean-Han taking spread eagle as his difficult position through that straight line lift. Difficult exit, slightly wobbly. Moving forward, I'm sure the team will continue to develop their posture and their mindfulness of free leg extension. Sometimes just a little flex with the free leg. But that's where competing at the Junior Grand Prix is such a wonderful opportunity to learn from others, and I'm sure they will have enjoyed watching Hannah Lim and Lim and Quan from Korea, who lead at this juncture in the competition.
Les scores pour
The score, please.
Selina et Jean.
Rhythm dance scores for Selina and Jean-Hans, 59.57. Coach very happy with that, and that will move them into second place. Really a strong performance. Some great skills demonstrated. Looking forward to the free dance.
Sur la glace, représentant la France.
So Fradji and Fourneaux from France shoot into second place. How will their compatriots fare? Koch and Melnyk.
50.53, their personal best in the rhythm dance last season right here in Courchevel, skating to Fado and Tango.
Another really solid performance from the third and final French team in this competition. Koch and Melnyk. And for me, a fascinating opening midline step sequence from the pair. Lots of attention to the detail and the match between the team. And they too, taught by Karine Aribert, so they will be presumably training mates with the previous couple, and I'm sure they'll push each other in training.
Putting you on the spot. So you just saw those teams, two teams back to back. Which one catches your eye?
I
said it was putting you on the spot.
Preferred this program, but I think the strength and the consistency of the previous team will find them ahead after this event. This I loved.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
The slow-mo on the backhand side counter. You can just see there the hop and the jump from Ivan. So that's not a callably clean turn for the technical panel, nor is the depth of that backhand side edge on the Choctaw for Lou clean enough to be callable. So level-wise, perhaps not as high as their compatriots. But this was great. Difficult entry. And Ivan taking the 1 foot glide that he... No scratch, no hesitation.
Nice and steady, no
really
scratch,
good.
no wobbling to the free leg. Really well done.
And that will force the judges to go high on the grade of execution. And this team, though, interesting. You're allowed only 1 step between the twizzles and the sequential twizzles within the rhythm dance. It was almost a second change of weight. Here, seeing the key points again, the depth of the edge, the clarity of the footwork, not as visible, I think, as their competitors. And I'm sure wonderful opportunity for the coach to have created 2 teams and to be able to allow them both to motivate, push each other to strive towards better.
This is a very young team, just 15 and 16 years old, so they have lots of time to develop the top juniors and move into seniors. The rhythm dance scores 49.32, and that'll put Lou and Ivan currently to 5th place.
I think the Canadian team getting on the bandwagon with the clapping.
Well, they have the outfits on there.
Great to have the support for the skaters here in the mountains. And the Canadian team taking to the ice.
Team of Ben, Khelifa and Zhu, tango and flamenco.
Ben Khelifa and Zhu from Canada.
Yeah, unfortunate on that twizzle because they were doing pretty well throughout that program, but that was a big mistake, just a base for Chima on that twizzle. At the moment, it will be reviewed, of course.
Yeah, and in getting that base call, drops the base value of the element, so losing lots of points, and then impacted further by the grade of execution. That said, the opening Argentine tango, 3 key points awarded by the technical panel there, level 3 assigned to the team, and lots of speed and ice coverage, an impressive attack into that element, as you can see there for Shima. She's disappointed, understandably, but here loads of ice coverage and good depth of edge. And here, going into the rotational lift, this too, using the change of pose as the feature. Everest having to guarantee making the rotations for the level. Here we see the mistake though. She looked solid. I actually was ready to comment on the synchronicity at this point. Went slightly, ever so slightly out of sync on the last rotation there. But good match, good unison. That one of the GUE criteria the judges want to see. But here, just after that very first twizzle, and she clung on to try and salvage something.
And Ben was hitting his toe picks as well, but kept the twizzle going. It was just a challenge on that second set.
And the technical panel award the man and woman independently. And then the value of the element is given when the scores for each individual member put
So
together.
on the replay, you can see Ben was in at a 4 for the twizzle. They saw that he was hitting the toe picks there, slowed it down, broke the twizzle. He's now at a 2. So it's a base and a 2 on the twizzles. That's unfortunate for this team. The rest of the way was well done, but the twizzles are very costly.
But what's wonderful to see now is the support that Everest is giving. And great to see the report.
Yes, that's team. That's what teamwork does. Rhythm dance scores for Chima and Everest 50.15, and that's not even so much of a bad score with that, you know, that shows the quality, the rest of the quality in the program and the elements. There's a look at your leaderboard so far. So just 5 points out. Well, not just 5 points, big lead in dance, but 5 points out of the podium at the moment.
One of 3 Swiss junior dance teams assigned to the Junior Grand Prix this season. Look out for some great use of changes of hold within the Argentine tango from Mila O'Brien and Lauren Wiederkehr. I have to wonder about all the process and thought gone behind this, the costuming. I want to check in, Ted, with the team, the coach, the choreographers at March Day of the Dead. A real thought gone behind everything in this team for such a young team.
Now, we talked a little bit earlier about it. I find this team is in this category. Through all the years that we've been covering the Junior Grand Prix, there's those teams that don't maybe have the technical skill at the level, but for some reason they catch my eye. There's something unique and special about this team. This reminds me of the Kerrs a little bit.
Yeah.
Of course, the brother and sister teams, somewhat similar size, but had something unique. Hard to put your finger on it.
Yeah.
But they caught my eye in practice. They caught my eye in this presentation. I don't know technically. We'll see what the scores are. But unique choreography, well presented. They committed.
And they embraced it. They're relatively young team, but they look like they are totally immersed in it. This is brilliant, the change of hold.
Right there.
Really cool. And that's to be applauded that a young team who still have so much developmental necessity. Of course, I'm sure their team will be conscious of the need for them to improve their fundamentals still. But great that they're playing with new things.
Now, they always had some interesting transitions into and out of the elements. There's the twizzles, some pretty good speed, good distance, good unison, a little bit off, not so much off, but separation there. Nicely done. And those go in at a level 4 for both with a plus GOE of 0.96. So some nice scores achieved on that. Here's the end.
Quirky, cool.
Nice done.
And
Nicely done.
Yeah, this team, they train with Elisa Agafanova. They were at the ISU development camp in Oberstdorf in May, so lots of good input going to the team.
Keep that innovation. Keep exploring your technique and your style. 46.02 for Mila and Lauren, and that will put them currently in 8th place. The technical score is not there, but there's something unique and a nice, bright future. Well, Mark, that concludes the rhythm dance. Thoughts?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And lots of new teams. And great to see some different takes on this new season and the tango that is necessity for all the junior teams. Paves the way for an interesting Junior Grand Prix season as we look to see who's going to qualify for that Junior Grand Prix final in Italy in December.
And those standings will come up in just a moment. We'll see how close the top 3 are, and those just off the podium. Can they make that distance up? Always a bit of a challenge in dance, but unpredictable in juniors because you can see those mistakes creep in pretty quickly. They're still stabilizing, still learning the basics, and they're still a little bit nervous in competition, but certainly interesting event here today. Those may not come up right now, but you can check online, isu.org, for the results of the rhythm dance. Now, pretty soon, we'll be coming up with we're just waiting for the graphics, so we'll just keep chatting here for a second. We'll get the scores to you. Yeah, no, interesting indeed. And Mark, this is day 2 of your, of course, you've done a lot of commentary, but you haven't done the juniors much. What are your thoughts so far? There's a look at the standings so far. Take a look how close the event is.
Just so exciting to see what I am sure will be the future of our sport. And just so exciting to see, knowing that some of the top coaches in the world are working with these athletes, and what we're seeing now is in time, in the next Olympic cycle, if not the next 2 or 3 Olympic cycles, going to be the front runners in our sport. And that, to me, is incredibly exciting.
And people don't usually have access to the early stages of development of a high-performance athlete. You do now, and you're watching. You go, okay, well, you know, it's coming along. But watching a whole career has an advantage of interest for the fans to get connected to the athletes as athletes, but also as people.
And these experiences are so pivotal. There are some athletes which are available or have access to better training environments, better coaching information perhaps, but these experiences can be eye-opening to so many, and it's just really eager to see how they all adapt to this experience and move forward from here and hopefully take great things away from it.
Well, that concludes our coverage of the rhythm dance here on day 2 from Courchevel, France. I'm Ted Barton along with Mark Hanratty. Thank you for watching the Women's Free program coming up at 16:35 local time here in Courchevel. Thank you for watching, everyone. Goodbye.